Hello designers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to be rewrapping this backpack. Hello designers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to be rewrapping this backpack. This backpack was given to me by a client of mine, so I'm going to take you through all the steps and show you how I rewrap this beautiful bag. The first thing that I'm gonna go ahead and do is to open up the bag. Then I'm going to turn it inside out. Alright, so now I'm taking my seam ripper, and what I'm gonna do is to pick out the binding. So what I want to do is to get it loose so I can take the bag apart. So I'm using the seam ripper to open up, and this is what I actually want. I want to separate that. So once that is separated, I'll be able to take the bag apart. So I remove all of the binding, and this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be using the seam ripper to separate in the pieces. Now this is what they're going to be looking like. So this is what the front looks like once it's separated. You will see the straps. These are the little snaps that I took off from the straps, and the little loop that is normally at the top where you can use to hang your bag. And this is the back section. Now I'm going to leave the back section alone because you're not going to be wrapping that section at all. So if you have a solid color on your bag like mine, you can leave that because there's nothing wrong with the black. As for the straps, I am going to be wrapping that and the front section as well. Alright, so this is the side part. Now like I said, I'm keeping the black, so the bottom part, which is black, I'm definitely keeping that. So I'm going to do the pockets, and I'm going to do the top section. So this is the back, and that is how you would have the pocket placed back on. So the bottom section, definitely going to be using. Okay, so now let's go ahead and remove your slides. And you're going to be separating the materials so you can see the different sections. You have your zipper, you have the outside piece, and you have the inside piece, which is the lining. So that's brown color, that's the lining. And I'm going to be taking off the pocket. So I'm going to flip it inside out and remove it. Once I separate the pocket, this is what it's going to be looking like. So I'm going to be removing the zipper. So these are the pieces from the pocket. So you have the outside part and the lining piece. So I cut the section for the front part. So that is what it's going to be looking like. And you guys can see I cut it like half of an inch bigger, so I'll be able to stitch without having to worry about the fabric probably raveling or something like that. So you're just going to place it over. You're going to place it and make sure that your right side is what is actually going to be turned up. I pin around and then I give it a stitch. I trim up, and this is what the front section should be looking like. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do the pocket part. So I've cut the pieces for the pocket. So you have the top part of the pocket and the bottom part of the pocket. So I cut the pieces to lay over it and stitch. So once again, I'm gonna go on ahead and pin. Then I'm going to do my stitch going all the way around. This will hold it in place. So this is what both pieces would be looking like once that is done. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do is to close the gap on the little edges. So there's like this little fold that comes at the edge. So you have that on the bottom part of the pockets and you have it on the top part of the pockets, but it's only done at the edge that would actually be stitched down onto the front section. So that's the little L area. You just fold it like that and you give it a little stitch. I like to go up and down, so you back stitch to reinforce your stitches. So this is what it would be looking like. And that's the bottom section. I did it to the bottom as well. So I'm going to be putting in the zipper. No, I kept the little white thing at the edge because it's not really going to show anyways. So I give the zipper a stitch going all the way down. And then I'm placing the lining fabric over it, because you want to do it as soon as you stitch down one section, you stitch down the lining. So you're gonna flip it over and make sure that you stitch just like you did when you cut the piece to cover it. You are going to be, well, right now I'm flat stitching, but you are going to be giving it a stitch to hold the lining fabric in as well, because you need it to like lay flat onto it. So the little edges for the lining fabric right there, I am definitely going to be doing that. But remember guys, when you're going to be doing this stitch is going to be done facing the inside of the pocket, so you won't see the raw edges that you stitch. So you're going to have raw edge facing the raw edge of the outside part. So when you lock them in together, you don't see the raw edge that you would have stitched for the inside section. Now once you trim up, you're going to pin if you can, just to make sure that your lining fabric lays flat. So like I said, the little part that you just did should be on the inside part, not on the outside part. Now this is what it's gonna look like once you join them, you stitch them together so that it lays flat. I actually put on both of the pieces quite similar. You make sure as soon as you stitch the outside part on, you stitch the lining on as well, and you repeat the process to both. You do the same thing with the edges as well. The top part is a little bit different because it does have like a little gap, so that it would hide the little white area that I said won't actually be showing. So you can see how small the lining piece is as it relates to the outside part of the top part of the pocket. And that's just because you have like a 1 inch or 1.5 or 1.25 inch fold that actually hides that little white area. So once I actually stitch the lining piece on, which is very much smaller, I'm going to be doing the same thing. But remember guys, the stitch that I'm going to be doing here is going to make sure that it falls on the inside. So the section of the lining that is going to be facing to the inside part of the bag that you're not actually going to be seeing, because you need to hide all of that raw edges. So I'm doing stitches for both sections. And just like before, at this point, if you guys have to pin, but you're going to be seeing that you have that 1 inch, because this is how you're going to get, because the lining is so much smaller than the outside part. When you do join up the edges, so those little the little L shape, once you match the little joins that you make together, you will find that you have like a little 1 inch to 1.25 inch fold over, which create that little flap over the zipper. So it kind of hides that little white area, so you don't actually see it. Now this is what it's going to look like. So this is what I was talking about, that little fold over there. Now usually what I do is to get a little stitch, a little top stitch going as well, just following the zipper. But for now, we're going to be putting on the binding. You guys didn't see that, but it did have a binding around it, so I'm going to put that on back because I did take that off. So I'm stitching all of that binding going all the way around that. So this is what it would be looking like, and you have completed your pocket. Alright, so for this, what I normally do is to actually get the measurements. I find the middle of this, and when I'm doing this is just so I can get the center, so I know how to center the pocket, because I need to make sure the pocket is lying directly in the middle, so it's not like going towards one side or going towards the other side. So you guys can just use a chart. I have to use something bright so you guys can see what I'm doing. So usually I don't really do the little middle section, but I'm just showing you guys so you see what I'm doing. So likewise, you're gonna find the middle of the pocket. You're gonna find the middle of the pocket, and you can pin, or once you get the measurement, you guys can use the little L-shaped notches that you made, the little areas, and that's how you pin it down. You pin it and you stitch it down, and this is what you're supposed to have. Now I like to go around mine at least 2 times with the stitching because I like to reinforce the stitches. We're moving on to the pocket section, so this is what they look like once I cut out the pieces. And we're doing the same thing again, we're just literally laying it over. This time I am gonna flip it so that I get like a nice little stitch at the top. So this is what it would look like, and of course I put the lining fabric back on as well. When it comes to the top, you're just gonna be measuring both pieces, and you're gonna be getting the measurements for that in the color that you're doing as well. You're going to be stitching them down onto each other just the same. So this is what they're gonna look like. This is what they're gonna look like. Now, when you're going to be putting on the lining, you're going to do the same thing as you did with the pocket. You're going to put the zipper in first, and then you're going to be doing the lining. Now you guys might notice that the lining is also very much smaller, and it's the same with the pocket, with the top part of the pocket. You actually need to create that little fold over, so it is actually quite smaller, because you need like that 1 inch to 1¼ inch fold over. But once you get that stitch down, you can give it a flat stitch going right on top of the zipper, and you take your time with this so you go as straight as possible. Now this is what it should be looking like once that is done. Now for the other part of the zipper, by the way, I open up the zipper, so that's why I have 2 sections. Now once I do the same thing to the next side, only this time there is no fold over, but I'm going to take my slides. Now you put your slides on both ends. You don't put both slides on the same end. You go one on one end and one on the other end, so your bag can be opened up from both sides. So you just slide that on, and I like to pin it down to have more control so it doesn't pucker up when I'm working. Now this is the bottom, so I'm going to take the lining section and kind of pin it, because I don't want it to get stitched in when I'm putting in the pocket until after I'm finished, and I need to cover up all of the seams. So I've got a place on my pocket, and that's how the pockets would have been placed on. But I usually put the top part on before. So you're gonna line up your seams, right sides facing each other, and then you give it a stitch. Once that is done, you can go ahead, remove your pins. Now that is the seam that I wanted to cover. So if you notice, I didn't try to stitch the lining in as yet. I want the lining to cover that area. So I actually bend the lining to hide the raw edges. So I'll just bend it a little bit and then give it a flat stitch going all the way down. You want to be careful with this because you want to have a straight line on the outside of it. So I just go to check my line to make sure that is correct. So once you're done with both sides, you can now go ahead and put your pockets on. And putting on the pockets are very easy because there is already a line that when I pull out the bag, there is like a line there already, so I know exactly where to put back the bottom part of the pocket. Okay, so once the pockets are intact, and I actually stitch the bottom part of the pocket first, and then I flip it over, so I kind of hide the raw edge, and then I give it a top stitch just to reinforce it. So what you're going to do is to fold that section in half and to find the middle of the top and the middle of the bottom. That way you will know exactly where to start pinning from. And you're going to do the same for the front section. You find the middle, you stick a pin at the top and at the bottom. So when you are actually pinning your whole entire thing together, you know exactly where the middle is at the bottom and the middle is at the top. And you just pin them in place. Your stitching is going to be done onto the wrong side, so you pin accordingly. So I'm just matching up my front. I have the right sides facing together. Now this is what it should be looking like. And when I flip it over, this is what it's gonna be looking like. So you guys can see you have the bottom, the sides going all the way around, and the front. Now when I flip it back over, what I'm gonna be doing is putting on the binding, because I want to finish off with this section. So I'm going to be putting on back the binding of it. So once you have put it on back, this is what you should have. This is what it should be looking like. And you want it to be just as neat as it was before you actually touched the bag to begin with. Alright, so this is something that I should have done before. The person who has the bag requested that I put on like a J, the person's name. So I actually cut out a J and I put it on. Because I was supposed to do the stitching before, I'm just going to find a creative way of actually putting this on. But if you guys are going to be doing embroidery work, my advice for you would be to do it before you actually join back the pieces together. However, I will be honest, my sewing machine tends to pull the stuff like a bit, like pull up the material. So sometimes I do it after, and I probably just hand stitch it going around, and I have some decorative threads that I use as well. So sometimes that's what I do. Anyways, we're gonna be moving on to the straps, and as you guys can see, I just cut out some pieces, but I cut out a whole entire thing. I made it like 2 times as wide as the straps, and then I sewed it on its wrong side, and then I curved the bottom of it so I can literally pin and turn it inside out. So the whole entire strap is going to be in the same color, both the back and the front. So you have both sides of the straps in the same color. And as for the little loop, I'm using back the original loop at the top. You need to get that on so you'll be able to hang your bag. So what you do, you find the middle of the top and you pin the strap on both sides of the middle. So you just make a little mark and then you pin on. And once you pin the little loop, you do the same thing for the straps. Now I like to give it a stitch going all the way at the top, but I do it back and forth a couple times. So this is what it should be looking like. Now it's time to put the front section onto the back section. So you turn it inside out and you want to give that a pin. So what you're gonna do is do the same thing as we did before when we were pinning. You find the center at the top and a center at the bottom on both pieces. Then you go on ahead, you match up the little marks that you made, or if in my case I've used pins. So I make sure that I match up the top and the bottom. You need that to be very accurate, especially when you know you're dealing with materials like these. The bag tends to be a bit bulky, so I have to know what I'm doing. And when I'm finished, I'm doing the same thing again. I'm going to be putting on the binding, going all the way around. You make sure you trim up, because on the inside of the bag you are pretty much finished. And for me, the only thing I had left to do was like trim up any little thing on the outside, and I did, as you guys can see, I did like the little decorative stitch going around with the J. I just kind of used some threads that were gonna blend in back with the color of the bag. But this is what your finished product should be looking like. So let me know what you guys thought about my little rewrapping project. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you think I did a good job. Do not forget to watch all of the other videos I have on this channel. Just let me know what you guys think about this. Do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, and of course, return for more videos. And I will see you guys again. You guys can see the little J there. But let me know what you guys think about this project, okay? Alright guys, do not forget to come back, and I will see you guys again on the next video. Bye guys.